Welcome at Newcastle Training Center. This is your trainer Shahzad Anwar, and in today's training, which is lecture number 2, we're going to talk about the items master, indeed, which are needed in SAP Business One for the inventory management. Okay, the big picture is that we are getting through the MRP and the production. And before we start with those processes, we need to set up our inventory in a proper way. Now, the inventory management and the setups lecture we're going to finish in 2 sessions. So in today's session, we're going to go through items master, and then we will take you through the administration, the setups. So in the administration master, item master, here you find all the list of the items which you have on the system. To quickly pop up the full list of items, you can press Ctrl F and star enter, so we can see all the list of the items on the system. To find a particular item, let's say rather by item description, let's say starting from a letter whatever is that, like starting from A we have aluminium assembly and so on. Alright, so these are the various search options available in the system. And then you see that the items, then these have here different characteristics. And these characteristics include like the item type, and then we have the item group, right? And the item group, if we see that we have defined various groups like the main item or the service item or assembly item, something. And these group items are indeed required at the reporting and the evaluation level. Okay. Then we have like the unit of measure for the group. We also can look at if the item is taxable or not, who are the manufacturer of the item, and then some other information. Then we have the issue method for the item, which is backslash or manual. I think I will take you first to the item setups, and then we come back to the items master again to fill in the rest of the information. So let's go to items, the inventory setups, which you find under administration, setup, and inventory. Now let me do for you the basic setups and then go back to the master screen again. So here we find the item groups and item properties, warehouses, units of measure, and so on. So let's go through quickly under the items group. What we see, again, we can navigate back from here, or we can press Ctrl F and see all the list of the groups which are already defined. Let's look at the, let's say, the items group first. Now, in this group, what we define in this group, indeed, then we can apply to various items at the group level. So what we can define here under the general tab is the default unit of measure for the group. Here press tab key and we find the unit of measures here. If you don't find yours, okay, we can define the new one. Then the planning method. The planning method is MRP or none. Let's understand what the planning method is. MRP is the production process, stands for material requirements planning, and this is an automated process indeed which can suggest for the raise of the purchase orders. Okay, whereby the none method is that the items cannot be planned by the automated MRP process. Okay, we will have some more details about these two. Then let's look at the procurement method, which is buy or make. Okay, if the procurement method is made, it means that the MRP can generate the you can say can generate the production order. The MRP then process can generate the production order in case the procurement method is made. Okay, it means that we are making something, and to make so we need to generate the production order, and MRP does that for you automatically. Then is the other method is buy. It means that we purchase the item from the vendor. We don't make it, rather we just purchase it. Then we have order interval in case we define a new order interval, how frequently we can order. Indeed, what we define here will give the system alerts at the time of your login, so that you can pop up with different notification messages. Then order multiple, and or minimum order quantity which you can set on the system at the items group level, and then likewise the lead time and the tolerance days when the lead time is over. Now, the next important thing is the moving average, which is the valuation method. And let me tell you that under the valuation methods, we have moving average, then we have the standard, and then we have the FIFO. Okay, now what are the differences between these three? If the method is moving average, it means that the average cost of item, it rather generates for us the average cost of item in each sales or purchase order. It takes the average for each sales and purchase of the order and give us the average of that. Well, in the standard valuation method, it permits the selection of a fixed price indeed. Okay, and by FIFO we mean that the perpetual inventory, it's the perpetual inventory system. It means that the goods purchased first are sold first. So you have to carefully choose the valuation method. If you are not sure about, you can possibly think of the moving average, which takes the average of the item for all the purchase and the sales transactions, and thus gives you the valuation. Alright, then we're going to talk about the default bin location, which is in case you are managing items in various bin areas on the production floor or within the warehouses, you can define the bin locations over here. Okay, your default bin location, this is the warehouse, your warehouse, and within the warehouse your default bin location. Okay, you can define number of bin locations from there. Well, moving next, we then have the accounting tab for the items group. Under accounting tab, carefully we have to set all these accounting the accounting with these items at the group level, like the expense account is what, then the revenue account is the sales revenue. Okay, whenever we make a sales, it hits the sales revenue account, okay, which is 411. In case you want to assign a different account, what you can do is backspace here and then press the tab key. It takes you to the chart of accounts, the sales part particularly, and here then you can make the selection. Okay, sales revenue domestic. All right. Okay, that's fine. Well, and then you have the inventory account, which is the link to the finished goods indeed. Okay, you can look at the account properties by clicking there. It's under assets, your finished goods, the currency is US dollar. You may think of choosing the account currency or the local currency. Well, let's cancel this one and go back. Likewise, you have to set all other accounts, like the allocation account, which is goods received but not invoiced yet. Okay. The other important the GL decrease account and GL increase account. Okay, if the item quantity increases or decreases, which GL account it should affect? Gain or loss of inventory variance account. This is very fundamental, important thing. You certainly need to set it up. Okay, and link it over here. Well, let's update this one. And okay, so this way, then you have to define all the various different item groups according to your environment on the system. Next, we talk about the item properties. Item properties are the custom properties in top of what you see on the items master screen under inventory. Okay, if you look at the purchasing data and inventory data. Okay, and then the properties. Now, under the properties, what you find here, these are the additional, the parameters, additional properties which you need to tick on. Okay, for example. So this is what you are controlling from here, from the items properties. So let's say our items property is that it's a flexible item, then it's if it's let's say made of the plastic item, or made of plastic material, or it's made of let's say glass item made of glass material, or it's just an item for non-stock item, let's say. Okay, so these are there can be possibly different properties. You certainly can keep on customizing these properties and update on the system, and then these item level properties are available to you in the item master. Okay, well, moving next is under administration, setup, and then inventory. Likewise, we need to define the warehouses. Let's look at what we have. We have warehouse for the finished goods store. We have warehouse for external, and so on. And then we have a mini warehouse. Okay, for each warehouse, you need to define the warehouse characteristics, the location, and everything. All right, and also possibly we need to add the global location number of that warehouse. Okay, your global location number can be Google location or other parameters which you can put here for quick access of the physical location of the warehouse. Okay, mainly these are taken from Google or other locations. Right, then also we have to look at if the warehouse is netable or not. The netable, if the option is checked on, it means that this warehouse and the respective inventory of the warehouse will be available in the MRP process. Okay, if this option is checked off, this warehouse is not available anymore in the MRP run. Okay, well, then for the warehouse, if you want to create the bin locations for this warehouse number 2, you certainly need to enable the bin locations. Under the accounting, likewise, at the warehouse level, you need to set up all the accounting parameters, connect them with the respective chart of accounts. And in case the bin location is enabled here, you find this bin locations tabs coming up, and then you need to set certain characteristics for the bin location. Okay, well, so this is about the warehouses. Moving next, we think of the units of Maya. You need to define all the unit of Mayas, like it's the one is manual, the other one is like unit of Maya. Let's say the length is 2, the width is 3, the height is 4. The volume should be calculated automatically, which is fine. and then the volume unit of Maya is what? Okay, you define your own unit of Maya, and if the item this unit of Maya has the respective weight, which is the option one, we can define that as well. Okay, well, so likewise we need to define all the units of Maya, and the units of Maya at the group level can be defined as well. And then the weight, all the weight characteristics as based on the gram and the ounces, you can define all the weight characteristics. Then custom groups. Okay, now the customs are, your duties. I mean the custom duties, and uh, these are the duties which are applicable in case you are into import of, you're importing item from the foreign countries. Then the custom duties do apply, and the custom duties, let me check that. Yeah, so the custom allocation account and the customs expense account in the chart of account, these accounts need to be connected as well, so that the custom percentage deductions should hit those accounts, Okay, so let's have a look at that. Let's say the customs duty on the panels, for example, uh, let's say the number is 1, and the customs duty for per panel for the customs is the standard duty, let's say, is 5% of customs deduction, and for the purchase is the 5% another customs on the purchases, and the other R can be any additional duties, let's say another 2% of the additional duties. Okay, it gives you then the average of the total customs duties need to be paid, and which customs account now need to hit your chart of accounts for the reporting perspective, and certainly for the financial analysis perspective. So click on tab, and under tab then you should find if your respective account is there or not. Let me take you here from here to the financials and the chart of accounts, and then we try to find if we have like the maybe under liabilities we have any custom duties somewhere there. If not, we can create the account. Let me guys look into under expenses, maybe define to you any customs duties, guys. You see, no. So what we do is, let's say maybe under liabilities we can define, let's say somewhere here, other current liabilities. Let's define it here, and let's press control we want to define it here. Let's press control 1 at the 4th level. Here we need to maybe close this one first, so let me update this one and come back to the customs group again. And here now in the chart of accounts we press control A to create an additional chart of additional account, and the code would be, let's say 231, let's say 237. Okay, so 237 and 01000101 as per our coding scheme, and then we say here we're gonna have the customs allocation account, and the currency is all currencies, that's fine, and additional currency is solar. All right, in our case, not a control account, not a cash count either. So just add. Okay, here we go. So 237. Let's create another one, and we make it by Control A, and we make it count as 238 01 and the name is customs expense account. Okay, and all the rest parameters. Okay, just add this one. Now let's go back to our customs screen, which is under setups, or we can quickly go from here, indeed, from the menus, customs group. Here we go. And now here for this group, we're gonna have the allocation account, which is 2, 3. Here we go, 237. Double click on that, and then we say customs expense account, which is 238. Tab key, and it's there automatically. Update this one. Okay, so that's what we need to define as our custom duties and allocate to the respective charge accounts, because these are the duties then which we need to pay, or these deductions sort of need percentage deductions apply when we do the customs. Okay, moving next is let's look at setups and then the inventory. Likewise, we talk about manufacturers, provide all the list of the manufacturers here. Let's say our manufacturer cutoff stream, General Electrics, then we have Apple Incorporation, and so on. So let's have all these list of the manufacturers there defined in the system. Then we talk about the shipping types, air shipping, air cargo. Then we say about we talk about the sea cargo, and here we say air cargo. So we can define all the shipping types over here. And then we talk about the locations. Okay, these are the geographic locations indeed, where we do our business or where we maintain our inventories. Okay, so we need to define the geographic locations of the inventories. And then cycle count determination. The cycle count determination, we're going to look at that on a later stage indeed. Okay, but to quickly tell you that double click on the mini warehouse, for example. Indeed, these are the warehouses which we have defined on the system first, and then for each warehouse, let's say warehouse, for the general warehouse, let's say, we say this general warehouse, the cycle group is defined new. From here, we can define a new cycle group indeed. But before that, let me tell you guys, we define a new cycle group, and our cycle group indeed is the inventory count by issuing an alert. I mean, let's say we wanna generate an alert of recount of the inventories on weekly basis. So we would say this is our weekly count, inventory count cycle. Okay, let's give it a code weekly cycle. Okay, or W cycle 001. Okay, and then we say the reoccurrence of this cycle of the inventory count, let's say, is weekly on every Monday and Tuesday, and the timing is optional indeed. Otherwise, we can put the time there. And then this process or is going to start on this date, and it's going to stop after one occurrence, or by so and so date. Let's say we want to stop it after 3 occurrences on the system, and it's going to be the weekly inventory count. Now, as we define it, okay, we are then able, in the cycle count determination, we are able to check this option. Okay, now by checking this option, the system will give us the alert on the defined Mondays and Tuesdays weekly basis for the inventory count. And these inventory counts indeed are needed for the sort of inventory cross check or reconciliation purposes. Update this one. Okay, so now we have defined this cycle at the items group level. Okay, update this one, guys. Let me close this. Likewise, then we have the package types. Here we can define different packages not needed at this. Likewise, we can then define the bin locations. Okay, so for each warehouse, we can define the bin location from here by giving the different codes and the different sub levels. Just try this one. This is quite simple. Audience, here we would like to finish with the fundamental inventory setups. In the next lecture, we're gonna go through the inventory module and all these options of the inventory modules, particularly the inventory transactions and inventory masters. Now we're gonna go through details about all these options, and we'll talk about the price list and pick and pack as well. And certainly, last but not the least, all the inventory reports and how we can customize those reports. Okay, so do watch my next lecture, please, and do subscribe the channel. Wish you guys very best, and do let me know in case I can be of any help, any assistance for you guys in your projects. Thank you.